You're listening to Behind the Wheels with Doug Mason, Dave Walters, and Mike Yeagley. This is a show where we talk about heavy truck and medium-duty axolans. Doug, Dave, and Mike bring close to 100 years of experience and expertise in the transportation business. Join us once a month to learn new things about axolans. Sponsored by Alcoa Wheels, the global leader in aluminum wheel innovation.
Welcome to another episode of Behind the Wheels. I'm Mike Yeagley.
I'm Doug Mason.
And I'm Dave Walters.
Another thing we wanted to talk a little bit about today was dual valve and how a TPMS system and how we're dealing with that here in Alcoa Wheels. We've just recently put out a series of wheels. We have a handful of wheels out there, and there's more coming out all the time with a dual valve system. Doug, you want to explain what the dual valve is?
Yeah, sure. It's a very simple. Very simple concept. We have two valves in the wheel at 180 degrees from one another. And this basically came about due to some concerns in the field with the TPMS attachment that goes on the very end, that threads onto the end of the valve. If it's in that location, obviously you can't inflate or deflate the wheel. It has to be removed, and that creates some grief for operators and for fleet owners. Because of damage and other situations. That was addressed sometimes with adding a T-valve, but then you're adding even more weight on the end of the valve itself, and you're creating another possible leak point in the system. And so this was addressed by Alcoa by putting in a second valve. And in this way, you're able to put the TPMS that attaches to the end of the valve in one location and still have access to do tire inflation, whatever else you would like on the other valve. And in some instances, that's being used on automatic tire inflation systems so that there is yet a TPMS attached to the wheel even while the ATIS is still running, so that there is a monitoring of the pressure that is in the wheel constantly and how fast it may be trying to lose that air. So that is primarily why it was put in place. There are the benefits that I just discussed. And there may be a few others. Dave, you want to jump in? I know you've seen this in action as well.
What I always say, the big catch, TPMS is becoming a major player, especially on tractors, where on trailers, there's an active system you can use that is very prevalent. A couple of different manufacturers manufacture that. But on tractors, there's really not an active system in the current market. So TPMS is a great way of these fleets to track tires, so they can check temperatures, air, a lot of different things. And casing's life is extremely important when we get into recap. So most of them are running TPMS. This dual valve whole wheel, there is a weight to these sensors. And the one fleet basically told me in a very nice way, he was much more comfortable putting the weight in a different hole and not having that on the valve stem, because there could be possible breakage, there could be interferences. And the other thing is you would have to take it off every time to air it up or put a T in there. And there's even more weight on that valve stem. So to me, these are a great idea to say, hey, we can put another hole in that wheel and you can move that. Then you can inflate out of the valve stem, and that would be separate, so you don't really have to mess with that. So, it's a really great concept, and I'm kind of proud that Alcoa Wheels is the only wheel company thus far that has done that. And one note on our subject before with the heat indicator, when it comes to safety, we're the only wheel company that I know of that puts a heat indicator in too. So there's two great things that Alcoa should be proud of when it comes to safety.
And just another sidelight, Mike, it's kind of funny when you think about it. This is obviously a concern. You want to have good balance, and obviously putting a valve on one side of the wheel creates an imbalance. And then if you add the TPMS on top of it, and then if you have a T in there, like you said, Dave, a lot of imbalance put in place. But by putting another valve of equal size, 180 degrees away, that reduces the whole thing overall. So kind of a side benefit as well. There's a little more positive to it.
Yeah. You don't really feel the balance on the heavy trucks like you do the auto side, but it is there, and it has an impact over time, or it can. if it gets too far out of whack.
For our listeners, remember you can always subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and please, if you like what you hear, share it on social media. To submit, if you have any questions or comments, if you want to take a look at the episode transcripts, you can visit our website, alcoawheels.com/podcast. I really want to thank you all for listening. We'll see you next time.
Sponsored by Alcoa Wheels, the global leader in aluminum wheel innovation, manufacturing, and technology. Inventing the first forged aluminum wheel in 1948, its team of experts continue to develop the most lightweight, efficient, and high-performing commercial vehicle aluminum wheel products, bringing you revolutionary innovations like Alcoa DuraBrite wheels, Alcoa DuraBlack wheels, the new Alcoa Wheels hubboard technology, and the lightest truck wheel on the market, Alcoa Ultra One 22.5 by 8.25 wheel. Alcoa Wheels, the global leader in aluminum wheel innovation.